93.7 FM and 1400 AM WGIL.
Well, good morning. It's 8:11 and 50 degrees at downtown Galesburg. Galesburg's Morning News. Tyler Gum, Jay Redfern, Cameron Line. And today we have a special guest, Harrel W. Timmons, a true pillar of our community, a legend in aviation. Tomorrow at 4:30 during the 54th Annual National Stearman Fly-In, the Galesburg Regional Airport will officially be renamed the Harrel W. Timmons Galesburg Regional Airport, a dedication ceremony at the International Stearman Community Center. So the honor recognizes Harrel's incredible contributions over decades, founding Jet Air Incorporated, mentoring countless pilots and mechanics, helping transform our airport into a regional hub that draws aviation enthusiasts from across the country. So, of course, Harrel, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the well-deserved recognition.
Well, thank you.
And so I suppose, what do you say let's start with tomorrow and work our way back.
Okay, yeah. So, let's start with the big news. The airport, we learned a few months ago, that's going to be named in your honor. What does that mean to you, and how are you feeling about tomorrow?
Well, nervous, but I feel good about it. I'm proud of the Galesburg Airport. I'm proud of everything that has occurred over the years since I started. As you know, I was fully active there for 55 years,
right,
which is essentially a little over 60% of my life.
Uh-huh.
But it's been a journey that I loved. I was doing what I loved to do, and by a rather circuitous route, it actually was my fourth career.
Fourth career? Wow, you've been there that long, and then you had 3 careers before that, huh?
Yeah, well, I grew up during World War II, so I've been around a while.
Yeah.
So
I know when they honored you at the city council meeting a few months ago, and you were emotional there. What do you think it's going to be like tomorrow?
Well, I'm an emotional person,
yeah,
and it may be. I'm going to do my best to stay focused.
Yeah. So let's talk about the history. You founded Jet Air in 1969 and led it to your retirement.
Well, basically, we started in 1969 as a company called Galesburg Aviation.
Okay.
And we'd come out of Peoria, where my third career I worked for Caterpillar. And then during the Porsche days, during the mid-'80s, when Porsche AG came to Galesburg, established a facility it was actually called the Porsche Aviation division of Porsche car people. And Porsche could not own or operate a U.S. air taxi operation. So we separated that part of the company out and called it Jet Air. As many people of our old friends know, that's my wife's initials.
Okay.
And call it Jet Air Inc. And then when Porsche in 1989 decided they'd had enough of the airplane business, which was, that period of time was not good in the aviation business.
Okay.
The big manufacturers had quit manufacturing airplanes in the U.S. for the most point.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 1989, Barry Barash and I were partners, and we bought the Jet Air Corporation back from Porsche, and then it's been Jet Air Inc. ever since. So.
What was the airport like back then? I know, as a kid, I remember, and we flew at Ozark out of there. Kind of describe the airport, what it was like back then.
Galesburg was like a lot of small-town airports in those days. The facilities were fairly small. It was regulation and procedures were relatively
pretty lax.
Pretty lax. You could come and go. In fact, even in the big airports during that period of time, even like O'Hare International, at that time, we used to fly people in to catch airliners, was one of our early businesses, and I could turn them out on the ramp, and they'd look around, and if it was United, go over and find the United area and get on the airplane.
Just looking for the logo.
Yeah, looking for the logo. Well, of course, all that's changed significantly, and the business has changed. As an example, when I came here in '69, the airport facility for the operator, or fixed base operator, as we were called, was a 80 by 80 building, 6,400 square feet, and it had nothing in it. Mm-hmm. It had no bathroom, no lights, no air, no anything. So we started with that. And today, one thing I'm proud of, by including the International Stearman Community Center, mm-hmm. which we finished just before my birthday in retirement, that brought the total square footage at the airport up to 42,000 plus square feet. So it has considerably more hangar space and available space than many small airports. Because one of the things, I'm proud of a lot of things about the Galesburg Airport. One, as I say, it's been my daily location or starting point for almost 65% of my life. Right. But it's one of the few small airports that has reached qualification as for a regional airport.
Yeah, that's a big designation.
That's a big thing.
Yeah,
it's a big thing for the community because it puts them at a level. When you go to the government, you got to go to the government for anything big.
Right.
If it's in aviation, and that puts you at a different level, at a greater percentage when you are going to the government to get funds to build runways, taxiways, ramps, any kind of a facility. Now you have much higher standing.
We're talking to Harrel Timmons. There's going to be a dedication tomorrow to officially name the airport the Harrel W. Timmons Galesburg Regional Airport. So kind of tell us about your history in aviation. When did you start flying?
Well, that's a long story. It actually began after I got an engineering degree out of what's now the Missouri Science and Technology. And it was a period of time when the country was pretty much at peace. The interstate highway system was at the peak of construction. Jobs were every place. Companies were looking for people. Caterpillar, at that tractor company at that time, were on a policy. They were hiring 100 new engineers every year.
Wow.
And I had a pretty good resume. They asked me to come to Peoria to interview, and I had never been on, touched, seen, operated, or been around an airplane in my life. I grew up on a Missouri farm way out in the country, mm-hmm. and Caterpillar flew me to Chicago from St. Louis. And by the time I got to Peoria and started talking to the interviewers, I said, "Hey, I love you guys. Give me a job and I'll go to work for you." And then they did.
Yeah, I think I should start saying "I love you" and more often if it works in job interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, don't plan on having one, but it's just never thought about telling the interviewer I love you.
Oh yeah.
So when did you first fly a plane?
Well, as soon as I got a paycheck, I went to the airport and signed up to learn to fly. And of course, the rest is history.
The rest is history, yeah, for sure. So I think I don't know if this number is accurate. You've logged over 20,000 hours as a pilot.
Oh, well over 20.
Over that now.
Because a period of times we were really busy. You didn't have time to log time. You had another trip.
You've said before in another interview, seeing the world from a perspective that 98% of the people never see from. What's it like to fly a plane? What kind of feelings do you get?
Oh, it depends on the conditions, the reason you're flying. It goes all the way from pure pleasure, from the beauty of the universe, to if it's, and of course, Jet Air for 40 years, they were the largest air medical organ transplant recovery aviation operation in the Midwest. We actually got in on that at the very beginning of the organ transplant. That was when that started. That became a real critical use of airplanes, and all of that type of flying. You're under a tremendous amount of pressure. If you're flying a heart or a lung for a transplant, you got 4 hours for that organ to be in transit, or before it has to be at a facility to be put back in use. And that was organ transplant business was usually from 10 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's all night, long nights.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, if you think about it, is during the daytime, operating rooms are used for people that are going to live. And so the transplant and the organ recovery is generally done late at night.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of plane to fly?
Oh, well, that's easy. I've flown 250 to 300 different models of airplanes, but my all-time favorite was a Learjet 35A.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes that special? The speed?
It's actually a converted fighter plane that was converted for civilian use. And as I tell the young guys, you line up down the runway, advance the throttles, pull the stick back, and before you know it, you're going 270 knots at 30-degree climb angle. Closest thing to a fighter that I ever got to fly.
Yeah. Is it a case, if you can fly a plane, can you fly almost any plane?
To some extent. Planes, the electronics and navigation systems have become so complex from the old days that so much of your training now has to be to train for the specific navigation and electronic systems that are in the airplanes. 'Cause like if you get up in the bigger corporate airplanes, those airplanes essentially, the computer systems can fly the airplane completely by itself. From takeoff to landing, there's stuff in there. It has the capabilities of doing that. All the captain's in there for is to make the decision, well, are we loaded? Is the airplane safe? Can we go?
Yeah.
And the systems take over from there.
Yeah. Are you still flying?
Well, I'm still qualified to fly.
Okay.
I'm still qualified and have a jet card and all that stuff. On my big party for my 85th birthday and my retirement, and when I turned the company over to the youngsters, some of the higher up insurance executives came to the party and found out how old I was and had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And grounded me.
Yeah. There's probably ways around it, though, right? I'm sure there's ways around it. But, we're talking to Harrel Timmons. We are in Stearman Week. Tell us about I know that's a long story, too, but tell us about what the Stearman Week means to you.
Well, the Stearman Week?
Yeah, Stearman Fly-In Week.
Well, Stearman, of course, this is the 54th straight year that we've had that. So I was here obviously for the very first year. And it has made the Galesburg Airport a worldwide known airport, worldwide. I mean, there's people from everywhere that and part of that is because with the location of the airport and the regulatory system of the aviation transportation system, it's easy to fly in Galesburg with the least amount of restriction. And of course, an old Stearman airplane, it doesn't go very fast.
Yeah.
It can't go very far. And people just love to come here and just fly.
Yeah.
And of course, we make that. That's one thing as a company for all those years. We give them brakes on fuel. We make it easy and fun. And that's not just the operation. The city of Galesburg, the Galesburg community, has since the beginning been very supportive of that, and people realize that because you try to fly, and I've flown quite a bit in Europe and other places, and there's many more restrictions, and you pay for everything.
Yeah.
Like I was just telling the guy the other day, I was bringing a jet out of Milan, Italy, here a couple of years ago, and it cost me $1,200 to taxi from the maintenance hangar where I was to the taxiway where I could call the tower and tell them I was ready to go fly.
Yeah. So you've flown a Learjet and you've Stearman. Tell us the difference. I mean, obviously there's big differences, but what kind of feeling do you get in a Stearman?
Open air, the wind,
Yeah.
wind's in your face, noisy, but they're very responsive, very tough old airplane.
In some ways, is it not necessarily more difficult, but I mean, there's challenges, I'm sure, to flying a Stearman.
There's different challenges completely because, of course, the Lear cruises at over 500 miles an hour, and it'll fly at 45,000 feet. The Stearman at 10,000 feet, it's out of steam. It can't go any higher without a lot of effort. And the Stearman, the biggest difference is with the Stearman, all of your basic pilot skills, how to land, how to correct a stall, how to basically navigate from what you can see. On a Stearman, that's the critical stuff because you forget your basic flying techniques, it's going to run off the runway or do a ground loop, as we call it, or do something that's bad. And when you fly a 500-mile-an-hour airplane, you've got to be thinking way ahead of that. Yeah. In other words, what am I going to do 5 minutes from now? What am I going to do when I get to the airport where I'm going? Because everything's happening essentially at how many miles a minute? It's quite a bit.
I'm sure. Yeah. As we wrap up with Harrel Timmons here, what's the best piece of advice you'd give somebody wanting to get into aviation?
Well, it's a lot different than when I got into it. But you got to have. It's like any business. It's just like a business. One, you have to want to do that. You got to have the desire. Then you got to have the determination to follow through, because it's a long period of training, a long period of developing the skills to move on to a higher level. It's just you got to be committed.
Yeah. Are there as many pilots now as there have been?
No, because like everything else, it's become much more expensive.
Yeah, right.
Much more. So, yeah.
Okay, well, that wraps up our conversation with Harrel Timmons. Harrel, I haven't heard anybody say a bad thing about you in all my years, and people are so excited and so thrilled that you're getting this honor tomorrow. So congratulations, and I hope it goes well and many more years.
Well, thank you. I hope it does too. It's been a great life. Okay. I've enjoyed it. Raised 5 kids at that airport.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again, Harrel. We'll take a real quick break, and we will be back with more. We got an update on news coming up next. It's Galesburg's Morning News.
WGIL, keeping you connected to Galesburg.
Hi, this is Michelle.